This was drawn by a child, not by a 37-year-old man.
I reckon we could fit Dave in. Yeah.
Buddy. No! So guys, we're obviously outlining the company and the structure of the company everything today, but a little bit of a guilty plug for some more stacking. So everybody knows we've obviously got our Dickens set up, world famous, the chickens and the ducks together. Well, this is a system that we can use to have the ducks in a cell, put a live wire up, and we can have whatever else we want as well. So we've got the calves in here at the moment. And what's happening with the season we've got at the moment is everything's growing so quickly. Instead of sort of grazing and then moving the ruminant and then sort of waiting a week and putting ducks in, we can't do it. It's growing too quickly. So this is a way, so once these guys are finished, we don't want to leave this cell, we just want to move it. So we're having the cattle graze while they're still in here. So that's why we're doing this at the moment.
We'll talk about the brands that are in this.
Okay, yeah, that's not a bad way of thinking about it. Good idea. So this is obviously the duck, and 99.9% of the duck is a food service business. So it is branded as Maremma free range duck, and it predominantly goes to Game Farm Australia and then into restaurants, and they do the logistics and the distribution from Game Farm Australia into the restaurants all through Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Tasmania. A very small offshoot of that, maybe 2 or 3%, would be that I actually sell some of my own ducks, which is an aged product. So I bring them back to the shop and we age them. And then I control all the logistics as far as getting that Maremma free range aged duck into the restaurant. Here we have Luke with his cricket bat and my beautiful wife Pia. These are the characters in this story. We have Stuart and Amber, Stuart with his dreadlocks. And then we have Brent and Michelle. So we're going to start over here with Brent and Michelle, because when I first started the Maremma brands, we did this here was a collaboration. Brent and Michelle own a company called Wallamai Creek Ducks, the world's best people, very, very dear friends of mine. But about 4 years ago, I bought Maremma off them. So I'm crossing them out. I love them to death.
And they're still alive.
They're definitely still alive and they're still doing their own thing. But I now own Maremma on my own. But that's how that journey started. Brent's the gentleman that hatches all my ducks and kills all my ducks. So that's where he comes into it. But I now have this brand exclusively. So no, there's no chickens in this. I'm doing chickens every 2 weeks.
Why?
So you have to drive, where I have to pick up the baby chickens, it's a fair way out of my way. So I like to only go there once a fortnight. And what typically seems to happen with the chickens is I can process them over 2 weeks. So the ones that do really, really well, I process at 5 weeks. And then the rest of that group, I process at 6 weeks. So I'm killing ducks every week, but I'm only purchasing them every second week.
And chicken all goes through integrity?
Chicken, sorry, I think I said ducks.
Yeah.
No, yeah, most of the chicken goes through integrity. And then Tathra Place sells some of those chickens to a fantastic gentleman called Ben from the Free Range Butcher. And then a few other bits and pieces. And that's still a program in its infancy. I'm hoping that could become a Maremma product as well. So guys, remember that we need you to subscribe, like our videos, comment, and 100% we need you to subscribe. This has to be worth our while, like everything we do here. I've just done a whole video on running a company and how everything has to pay its way. Well, we need you guys to support us, and I don't think it's too much effort. Trust me, it's a lot more effort making these videos than just clicking that subscribe button, so get involved.
How are you actually doing?
So, most of our pork is marketed by Tathra Place Free Range. You're right, girl. So we have a retail arm. Well, sorry, I should say that a lot of our pork goes into Integrity Meats, which is our own shop. And then we've still got customers that Tathra Place sells direct to, like Emilio's Butchery and Feather and Bone, Cleavers, whatever. They're separate butchers that we sell direct into whole body pork. So with the pigs, there's not a lot of food service. So with Integrity Meats, I drew that wholesale arm. So we do wholesale some pork in and around Sydney and down the south coast. But most of our pork either goes through our own shop and through our own window or directly to other butchers. Look at these little fuckers. Tathra Place Free Range is a retail brand. So we also have another brand. Oh, that's so... Excuse that phone call, but it ties into this beautifully. So that was Troy from Key, who is one of our food service customers. So Key is a restaurant in Sydney, a three-hatted restaurant actually. So we have, Peter and Luke have Tathra Place Free Range, which obviously sells straight into butcher shops, including now mainly our own butcher shop, Integrity Meats. So Tathra Place sells in Integrity Meats and to other butcher shops like Emilio's and Feather and Bone, things like that. But we have a food service arm. So we learnt very early on that we wanted to have separate brands for our retail and our food service. So our food service branding is all Maremma. So Maremma free range duck and quail. That is supposed to be a dog, not a pig. I'm not really sure what to say.
I think it's a special dog.
My peak up close-up journey continues. It's going to run away from me. Come here.
Ones with these green tags, like this little baldy here. In Australia we call that a baldy. That's what happens when you cross a Hereford and an Angus. But all these green tag ones are owned by the Integrity business, and this little one here with the orange tag, she's a Tathra Place. Sorry, he's a Tathra Place deer. This is Stuart and Amber. So together with us, we collaborate, and we own Integrity Meats, which is a brand made up of a beef production company and a butcher shop. So our butcher shop is owned 50-50 between Peter and Luke, which is me obviously, and Stuart and Amber. Integrity has its own beef brand. So although Tathra Place Free Range and Blackbird and Beast, which is Stuart and Amber, we have our own cattle. We brand that all as Integrity Beef, and it all goes through the shop. So we only produce enough beef, or at sometimes not even enough, just to keep the shop itself stocked. So beef isn't a major enterprise of ours. It's not something we've scaled. It's very land intensive, and we don't have access to huge amounts of land. So the beef is something that we do predominantly just to stock our own shop, which is Integrity Meats. Our little shop in Goulburn, it goes through about 3 beasts a week. So if you're talking about 40 calves here, and I think I've still got 8 over there.
Camera won't pick it up, but they're over there.
You're only looking at sort of 15 odd weeks. So we do go through them pretty quickly, and that's just the one shop. So it isn't something we've scaled. We've got plans to maybe legist some more land and expand the beef production, but at the moment we're doing our best with the land that we have access to. Tathra Place sells produce into Integrity, and Integrity grows its own beef. That's the Speckle Park program that Stewie runs predominantly. But within Integrity Meats, we obviously have a retail store, which is in Goulburn.
48 Union Street, Goulburn.
48 Union Street, Goulburn. Get involved. integritymeats.com. And then we also deal wholesale with restaurants under this brand. And we have a home delivery service for bulk customers. So you can order half a steer or a quarter of a steer or whatever else. So as simple as it kind of is laid out on the paper there, I hope that gives you an idea of our branding and the structure of our company, but there's a lot more detail we're going to go into, and I'm going to explain that to you outside. Jack it off.
Yeah, it's getting there.
So, guys, there's a lot more that goes into that. That's a really basic structure of our branding and who the ownership team is. But obviously within that, we have all of our staff. So Tathra Place Free Range has all of its staff, headed up and managed by Leo, who you've seen. He's the crazy German guy that wears the hairnet. And then we have a trainee Dane. And then we always have 2 other staff members. So there's 4, and then me. So there's 5 on farm. And then Integrity Meats has their staff. So ideally we would have 4 in the shop. We're a bit down on numbers at the moment. Integrity Meats also has a driver, which does our deliveries into Sydney picking up ducks, dropping off ducks, getting ducks deboned, all the stuff sold out of wholesale, out of the shop, goes straight into the chefs in our truck, in our refrigerated vehicle. I'm also a big part of the logistics. So we own another truck that is a huge flatbed truck that all our animals go on. I drive that every Monday. For some context for our American viewers, Australia is a really huge place and we don't have a lot of processing facilities. So I do 650, 700 Ks in that truck every Monday just to drop the live animals off to be processed. So there's a lot of things that are happening within those companies logistically. You've got to remember to have a completely vertically integrated system as far as birthing the pigs, growing the pigs out, taking them to be processed, picking them up from processing them back to the shop to be butchered, packaged, then into the final consumer. There's a lot that goes into that process, and I'm not sure that shouldn't be anyone's starting point. It's taken me sort of 8 years to get to that point, and I've collaborated with other people, which I want you guys to notice. That's something that I'm very passionate about now. Collaborating with other people is a fantastic way of growing and vertically integrating in our case. But there's a lot that goes into it. Anyone can grab a heap of ducks from somewhere and grow them out. That's not the hard bit. That really is the easy bit. Get that animal processed, get it processed well, get it packaged nicely, get it marketed efficiently, get your cold chain logistics, get your live logistics. That's the challenge in vertically integrating a farm enterprise.
Oh, g'day, Pia.
Yes, so unfortunately it would have been lovely to get my wife's input on this, because I talk a big game about all these brands and all these different companies and staffing and payroll and Christ knows what. Anyone that's done any of that understands that it's just so much work. And this is where it all happens. So this is my wife's desk. She's in Sydney at the moment, so we can't include her in this, but
what a shame. I would have been really devastated to miss this.
I'm not even allowed in this room normally, so this is like a massive highlight for me. I get booed out of here. But this is actually unbelievably clean for Pia. I'll probably get in trouble for that. This is impeccably clean. I'm very surprised. But this is the heart and soul of the actual company in here, guys. She runs everything from here, all the integrity stuff, all the payroll, all the insurances, all the regos for all the vehicles, all the invoicing. It's so convoluted, so that Tathra Place selling into Integrity, that's an invoice. And then Integrity selling onto a restaurant, that's an invoice. Or, you know, Maremma selling to Game Farm. And there's just so much work on the back end of having all these different corporations and brands. It really does create more and more work for her in here. So as much as there's a really good reason why we do it, this is where it all happens. And this would be easily 50% of the business. Forget what we're doing out there. If it wasn't for Pia, you know, pounding away in here,
you'd probably be growing it all outside and then making no money, right?
No, exactly. It's not worth much if you're not getting the invoices out. So very important part of the company.
So how got that. So 100 acres 8 years ago, more acres than that now, but obviously it started with just you and Pia and the boys. And now, how many people in the whole network, like how many people have we talked about today? Like 20?
Oh yeah, at least 20. Yeah, definitely. When you include companies like Game Farm Australia and their logistical power and their marketing power, oh man, we're very lucky, you know, forging those relationships with those businesses. Wholesale's got a dirty name in small scale agriculture. It's all about, you know, marketing your own stuff. I don't really agree with that. If you can scale one of your enterprises, like what we did pretty early on with the duck, it's almost impossible to be doing all your own retail and your own wholesale and your own logistics at the beginning. Us employing Game Farm Australia to take care of all that stuff and talking to the chefs and getting all the complaints and all the stuff that happens when we're dealing with 50 or 60 restaurants a week. I can't really do that from where I sit out here. It would be near impossible. So I've got no problems with the 20% that Game Farm Australia put on our product, because they do a lot more than 20% work in my eyes. So I really see value there. But yeah, started with 100 acres, mate. We scaled the duck up on this original site. To be honest, this original 100 acres still does probably 90% of the work. So yeah, very, very, very efficient, but have had to wear a lot of different hats and take on a lot of different roles to get to the point.
And brands as well, right?
And that's right. So there are very specific reasons why we've set up. You might just think, watching this, what's he doing? Why doesn't he just have Tathra Place and just sell everything at Tathra Place? That's not how the industry works in Australia. If you're selling into restaurants, they want to have a brand that's exclusive to food service. If you're selling into retail, they want to have an exclusively retail brand. So you have to play the game a little bit with these companies, and it's got other benefits as well. But that's the main reason. Look, they've all decided that they want to drink now.
Everyone's thirsty.
Yeah.
Sun's out.
So guys, I hope that wasn't all too convoluted. You might want to go back and watch that one twice, but that's the structure of the business. And sometimes I think people think this is just some sort of family farm with me and my wife and the kids. But you can't run your business like that. You really want to run your business like a major conglomerate. And that's sort of my wife's experience that she's brought in, and I've spent a lot of money getting business coaching as well. But we're trying to run the company properly. It's where it all begins. Like I always say, anyone can go and grow a chicken or grow a duck. That's not a business. And that's what I see time and time again. And I know there's a wonderful homesteader movement, and I understand that's a different system. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to prove that regen ag can be done on scale and produce a profit. Because until the day that somebody actually proves that concept, we're never going to get anywhere in regen or holistic management or whatever you want to call it. It can't be based in philanthropy. You can't expect the government to fund this. We need to prove ourselves that these businesses can be run profitably. And I feel to do that, you need to have a structure and a setup close to or similar to what we've set up here, because we really have found success in that model. So thank you again. The sun's coming out now. We'll keep toiling away out here, and we'll see you next time. Hey, you got to subscribe, guys. We haven't